Just in terms of the squad, if I just go down from sort of top to bottom, we talked about obviously 9 crore for the top 2 in terms of what we wanted. Obviously Faf was a key target for us. He ended up coming probably bang on budget in terms of what we wanted, and that pushed us, obviously took some money off Dev, where we were obviously looking to go up to 11, for those 2 openers. So, and in the end, we shuffled a little bit with it. The beauty of Anuj Rawat, we originally had him down at 5, is that he obviously covered the top, Sanjay. So
Anuj can open the batting. He can be a backup keeper too. Yep.
We always saw that when RCB backed somebody like Devdutt Padikkal 3 years ago, the way he's being analysed or assessed by our talent scout suggests that he's going to be a long-term player for RCB. And, it's also great to have the depth in the all-rounders position, because it was a hard job to sort of balance, take into account that the void left by AB de Villiers. To fill in that void, we certainly had to ensure that our number 7 and 8 provided that cushion, which wasn't available earlier. So from that perspective, it gives the team a lot of depth, which is going to be good, which is going to come in handy during the season.
And so that is also complemented by Dinesh Karthik.
Wasn't it, Rajesh? That was one of the reasons that why we wanted an experienced finisher. There were a couple of other probably more explosive players, more up and coming players, but we wanted to have players who have done it before, who have been in the pressure situation. So from that perspective, it's great to have Dinesh's influence also on the lower half of the batting order.
It's a well-balanced squad, number 1. Number 2, and we have a pretty brilliant bowling attack. We have Harshal Patel back, who was last year's highest wicket taker. Siraj in prime form, playing for India. We have George Hazelwood, again an international Australian brilliant bowl, and Asaranga in terms of his number 1, number 2 in the spin department. I think we have a brilliant bowling attack and a well-balanced batting too.
Obviously, I think we've done very, very well in identifying who the talents are, and most importantly, most important place in the auction, backing the talent and getting them on board. That's number 1. Number 2, also the fact that we were able to lock in our local World Cup winner, Anishwar Gautam, who we expect big things from in the future. Goes back to what we did with Dev also, maybe 4 or 5 years back, where we got him at base price, and 4 years later he's gone for about 7.5 crores. So that's not putting pressure on Anishwar, but he is someone we look to provide us with tremendous balance in the future. Can bat, can bowl, good fielder, captain Karnataka in the age groups. In fact, I think captain one of India's sides in the Tri-Series also. So he is a fantastic talent. And also, we were able to bring back people like Suyash Prabhudesai, who's gone from strength to strength. Last year we picked him as a project player, and this year he looks like someone who will be able to contribute to RCB when required. And also Akashdeep, who again who came in as a net bowler for us, but then we replaced him, brought him in as a replacement, getting him back also.
He also bowls at 138, 140.
On a good day, he can click 140 for sure. On a good day, we've got his wheels on fire. Absolutely can. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way we've gone about our domestic and overseas recruitment.
I think to add to that is Shahbaz as well, in terms of that continuation, in terms of picking Shahbaz. I'm sure you won't forget about him. But I think one of the key things we talked about was obviously getting left-handers to complement our right-handers, and you've talked about Anishwar Sasodi as another one, another local talent, quite a precocious talent, and someone that we're really looking forward to seeing how he develops. Obviously Lomraw, a really good player of spin, and through the middle, experienced player, bowls some left-arm spin too. But today was about getting those backups, and I think there was a lot of, to be able to get a guy like Shafane Rutherford, that power player through the middle, if we're going to miss Maxwell potentially, that some of those guys could be unavailable a little bit, we need to make sure we had good cover. So really happy with that. And in terms of we've kind of gone like for like in terms of that's what we talked about. You know, that every player, rather than having to change the whole structure of the side, is we've got a straight swap, and that was kind of the plan today. Is that we wanted, you know, if Faf was out, we obviously have Fenelon to come at the top, explosive player. Max is out, you've got Rutherford that comes in. Wanindu, you can go with the, you know, the bowling all-rounder and someone like David Willey, Hazelwood. You know, you've got your straight swap there with Jason Behrendorff as well. So it doesn't, and same with all the Indian players. You know, we've got a lot of flexibility there. So, and that was something we talked about. Quite hard to achieve, but and there was some tough times during the auction. You know, where we just had to be patient and bide our time. And I think we talked about this morning being nice and calm. And I think today we were calm. Therefore, at the end, we were able to get some cheap buys. So
it's nice that on day one, obviously, we were involved in bidding wars for a number of players. We sort of thought we can't catch a break, and then day two, we seemed to get quite a few players at base price. And then sort of, you know, we were happy with all the players we got, but to get some guys without having to sort of bid back and forth was quite nice, and yeah, a bit of a relief.
Yeah, and you, James, sitting in the out the back there, sending through some advice.
Yeah.
What was the most stressful time for you during the auction?
Those early bids all came in at our max prices. We were quite under pressure pretty early on.
Yep.
That was a conscious strategy to not to let go players. We had the players lined up for us, and we went after them. And that is one of the reasons why we went for Azaranga in the beginning, because if we had waited for other spinners to come, we would have missed him, and we wouldn't have got any other spinners too.
Correct. I mean, that was the challenge all along, is that there was only a small number of them available, and if we waited for the last one in the auction and we missed out because we got overbid, which could easily have happened, then we're stuck with none. So I mean, you know, that was the plan we discussed probably the most, wasn't it, in terms of how we went about that. Chairman?
Yeah, and day one, I think what we had planned, I mean, I was just counting at the players, you know, what we were targeting on day one, we were targeting about 8 or 9 of them, and we got all of them in, which actually gave us a lot of time to reflect, and there was no panic, right? And more so, that also gave us the, I would say, flexibility to reprioritize today. I mean, some of the buys, as Fergie said, I mean, unbelievable, you know? And they came at an unbelievable price, plus and zero opposition. And the fact of the matter is, I don't think that we kind of shot or overshot on budget on any of the parameters, right? Whether on the bowling side or all-rounder side or you know, any. But something which is, I think we got our finisher yesterday, so which was a big one. Right, I mean, there was a scramble for finishers today. We all saw that, and the fact is that when you plan well, you plan to the last detail, and you execute well, you end up saving some money, which is what we did. So it wasn't that you know, that we were under any pressure whatsoever, but we got what we wanted. So compliments to the whole team. I mean, the level of prep you guys did was phenomenal, I would say, phenomenal.